release of the Batman, we have a new Batman, and with the new Batman, we have a new Batsuit. So today I'm gonna do something I've never done before. I'm gonna rank all 16 Batsuits from the worst to the best. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Share your ranking of the Batsuits. My list isn't the right list, it's just my list, and I would love to see yours. As we go into this, for years, people have been asking me to rank the Spider-Man suits and the Iron Man suits, and I've never done it before for the simple reason that I don't have strong, clear opinions about the Iron Man and Spider-Man suits. However, I have very strong opinions about the Batsuits, and thus, with the release of a new Batman, this is one suit ranking I was very interested in doing, and if it does well, hey, maybe I will rank the Spider-Man suits after all. With that said, let's get started. In last place, Robert Lowry's suit from the 1949 serial Batman and Robin. Now, if you've checked out my previous Batman rankings, you know I didn't include the 1940 serials simply because they're serials, they're not movies. They're similar, they were theatrically released, but they're not actually movies. But for the sake of history, for the sake of discussion, I did decide to include them in this one because I find them a little bit interesting. And that's because they don't look good by today's standards. In particular, the cowl, the ears, they look bad. The ears are so floppy, it just looks like something that was homemade and no one put any effort into not making them look ridiculous. So while I don't actually mind the bodysuit in general, the cowl ruins the whole thing. Next up, the Lewis Wilson suit from the Batman serial from 1943. Same exact idea as the last one. By today's standards, it's just not very good. I think the emblem might look a little bit better. The cowl, one pinch better than the other one, but still the ears are too floppy. It just looks too cheap and homemade. It's the sort of thing that if you saw someone wearing this at a Comic-Con, you'd be like, maybe should have left that one at home. Which is particularly amusing because this is what they released in theaters in a serial in the 1940s. Number 14, the main suit from Batman and Robin. I'm a simple man. You put nipples on the Batsuit, you end up in the bottom tier of my Batsuit ranking. Now, I know it's a cheap, lazy joke to make fun of the nipples on the Batsuit, but that's because it's just such an incredibly stupid and distracting idea. From there, I think it's just got a little bit too much of a metallic look to it, a little bit too reflective, too many kind of edges cut in different places. So I think just over the top in all of the details. Number 13, the main suit from Batman Forever. Same idea, bat nipples, bottom of the list. This one looks a lot better than the Batman and Robin suit because it is darker, so it fits more in line with kind of the Tim Burton suits that I think are actually quite good. But I think just Joel Schumacher had this idea about being anatomically correct that he took to just such a silly level that as soon as these suits are on screen, you notice it. Largely because you got Chase Meridian literally grabbing his bat pectorals.
What is it about the wrong kind of man? In grade school, it was guys with earrings. Now, black rubber.
And the nipples are right there, and Joel Schumacher keeps zooming in on them too. So you have to pay attention to it. Moving right along, we have the ice armor from Batman and Robin, and this is a huge improvement over the bottom four because we have no bat nipples and no floppy ears, so at least this one is presentable without being laugh out loud ridiculous. Still don't think it's a great idea for a bat suit. It's just too shiny, reflective, metallic, kind of the contrast with the bright white colors I just don't think is a particularly good idea, and it's basically been openly admitted that they had multiple bat suits in the Joel Schumacher films because they wanted to sell more toys.
The merchandising and licensing became a very, very important part of the making of the film, and I went along with it.
So as soon as you know that, it also just kind of puts a bad taste in your mouth. Number 11, the sonar suit from Batman Forever. Much like the ice armor, big improvement over the bottom 4 because it doesn't do anything to be distinctly distracting, but it still has the Joel Schumacher problem of being way too reflective, too shiny. It's better than the ice armor because it doesn't have such obvious contrast in colors in the design. It's more consistent, single color, but it is reflective, so I just don't think that's a good Batsuit at all. Bringing us into the top 10 and probably the most controversial placement on this list, the suit from The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. Simply put, I have never particularly cared for this look for a Batsuit. It's too armored, and from the very first time they released an image of the new Batsuit for The Dark Knight, I thought it looked like the RoboCop suit, spray painted black with a cape around it. And then a few years later, they put out a RoboCop movie where RoboCop's armor looks black, and it kind of looks like this. And so the way that it's textured, the way that it looks like he's wearing a robot suit, I've never liked it. Obviously, I think The Dark Knight is a fantastic film, so this doesn't detract from my enjoyment of the film, but as we are talking about Batsuits themselves, I don't like it. Even the fact that it's designed to be a little bit slimmer, a little bit more lean, I think it makes it look awkward on him, and Christian Bale had dropped some weight, and so the overall look in Batman in this film, I think, was a big downgrade from Batman Begins, and so great film. Almost everything else about it is pretty fantastic. I have never liked this look, the armor, all that stuff. Not my thing. Number 9, the tactical suit from Justice League. Given that I haven't talked about the Batman v Superman suit up to this point in time, for me, Zack Snyder's little upgrades that he gave to the suit for Justice League for a big battle with the Parademons was more of a downgrade that just kind of looked awkward. Of course, it was a very different type of battle. He was in very different types of situations, so he had more gadgets on him, more armor, more padding, and kind of these goggles. And while it still has the flavor of the Batman v Superman suit, thus I have it higher up than the Dark Knight suit, there's just too many awkward details about it that didn't fully work for me. Next up, the Nightmare suit from Batman v Superman, and at this point in time, we are in the category of suits that I think look cool. Now, of course, this is an Elseworld alternate reality type of take on Batman, where he's in this Mad Max scenario, where he's got a trench coat, goggles, all sorts of other stuff around him, and if you're gonna do that version of the character, this is a cool version of that suit that fits the nightmares that he's in, that potential possible world they might end up in. So I dig it for that context, which is to say, I don't want this as a main suit, but for the way it was used, fit perfectly. Number 7, the armored suit from Batman v Superman. Here, Zack Snyder takes the armored suit from the fight between Batman and Superman in The Dark Knight Returns, plops it into live action, and it's really cool that this is a thing that exists in live action form. Obviously, it's a one-purpose, one-use kind of suit, but it's very cool at being that. Wouldn't want it as the main suit, don't want to see a ton more of it, but if we're going to do something that's adapting some elements of The Dark Knight Returns, this was a cool version of it that looked awesome on the big screen and was able to bring out some of the better aspects of Zack Snyder's filmmaking style. Number 6, the Batsuit from Batman 66. Now, obviously, this is an antiquated version of the character from a bygone era where Batman was basically a parody of himself. He was silly, he was campy, but he played it dead serious, and this suit ties into that. As much as it is this campy version of the suit, it is iconic and it has stood the test of time. It wouldn't fit in the Dark Knight trilogy, it wouldn't fit in the Batman, but for the movie that they were making and the TV show that they made, it fit. And they paid attention to the details, so the ears actually stick up properly at the right angles, and it looks proper for the type of show that they were making. In which case, you wouldn't use it now. but it absolutely has stood the test of time for what it was. In fifth place, the suit from Batman Returns. This is very much a continuation of what Tim Burton had done in the 1989 film, except here it's much more of an armored look to it, and it fits nicely into his version, his vision for Gotham that has very Gothic production design. Everything has a distinct look to it, and his version of the Batsuit fits here, has plenty of iconic shots for him to throw up his cape into a bat glider and sort of things like that. I prefer the look of 89, which we'll talk about in just a little bit, but as two suits in the same continuity with the same lead actor and same director, they're nice companions to one another. In fourth place, the suit from Batman Begins. The original Christopher Nolan suit, I think, was the best Christopher Nolan suit. It has its own origin story in the film of where it came from and how Bruce Wayne adapted it to become the Batsuit. It is armored. It does look like armor, but it's sleeker in design, so I think it looks more like a superhero costume than a robot suit painted black. As for me, this is easily the best of the suits in the Nolan films. There's a couple of clunky details about it, like the neck being a little bit too thick that can be a little bit awkward. But besides that, I like the fact that it has an origin story. It is armored, but it looks like a superhero suit. Real quick, before I give you my top three, remember to join me down below in the comment section. Let me know your ranking of the Batman suits. My list isn't the right list. It's just my list, and I would love to see yours. Also, I'm doing a ton of Batman content in the month of March because I love Batman and we got a new Batman movie. So if you want to check out my reviews or my other rankings, you can check those out right up here. Also, I wanted to give a quick shout out to an honorable mention from a fan film called Batman Dead End. It's also known as the Batman movie where Batman fights Predator. I've always loved the simplistic look of the Bat costume in this. It does help that they had a guy that's just absolutely jacked to put in the spandex suit so the guy's muscular body becomes the muscle suit itself, but I love the look of Batman in Batman Dead End. In third place, the Batman 89 suit. If you're gonna go for the sculpted rubber muscle suit, this is as good as it can get, as they committed to the fact that he's the Dark Knight, so it is pitch black, and while you do have all the defined muscles on there, it doesn't shine, it's not reflective the way the Joel Schumacher suits took this direction for it, and so it's just an iconic look for Batman. They put the bright yellow logo on there to be comic accurate, and in this heightened reality of Tim Burton's Gothic Gotham, it fits in the middle of this production design. And so while kind of the rubber muscle suit might not be the way that we do comic book suits now, it looks really cool. It fits into the world that it is placed in. Our runner-up, Battinson's suit from the Batman. For my money, this is a better version of what they were trying to do in The Dark Knight. It's clearly an armored look, but it looks like armor that was pieced together by a person. It doesn't look like a robot suit spray painted black. It feels like someone with a bunch of resources putting together something very practical in order to go and fight crime every single night. And that fits very much into the aesthetics of the film, the Batmobile, and all of it feels like something a guy put together by himself. And so you have all of these darts on the wrist guards, and you have plated armor, but in a way that makes sense. And the Bat logo comes off and is actually a tool in and of itself. All of it makes sense with this practical suit that he's trying to use that he built himself. Add to that, it just has a cowl with eyes and the mouth cut away in such a way that it just allows Pattinson to emote so much more than almost all of the other bat suits. He's able to be agile, he's able to actually move in the suit, and spends a lot of time in it with other people, and it's done in such a way that he just looks and feels imposing. As soon as you place him around other people, he's a presence in the room. Even when he moves his fingers, you hear his gloves everywhere he is, and it goes down to the design and even the sound design of the suit. And that's something I've never used to describe a comic book character costume before, how the sound design shapes the character's presence in the room. That's cool. That's what they were able to do here. But easily coming in at number 1 for me is Batflex suit in Batman v Superman. Some people have complained that the look here, it's just too thick, it's too bulky, but here, Zack Snyder just plucked the suit out of The Dark Knight Returns and just dropped it right into live action form. And I love this version of Batman and this Batsuit that just looks like a tank. And when you see him in the movie, he's still agile, maybe the most agile Batman that we've ever had, but he can just destroy dudes and you believe it because of how imposing he is. It's a very simple suit. That's the way I prefer my Batsuits. I don't like the Batsuit to look like very dense, thick armor, certainly not robotic armor. I don't want it shiny. And so this to me is almost the perfect Batsuit in capturing the way I envision Batman in live action. That's what Zack Snyder was able to do here. And Ben Affleck is a tall enough and muscular enough guy that when you put him in this, give him just a bit of padding, he looks like an absolute beast, but he could still move and you could believe it because he's not wearing clunky armor and stuff like that. So this to me, this is it right here. This is what I want Batman to look like. They finally nailed it here. So it comes in at number 1. If you enjoyed this video, remember I've got a bunch of other Batman content. You can check it out right over there. We got all of my Batman reviews right over there, and I've reviewed all the theatrical Batman movies. I got my Batman's rankings down there. I rank the movies, the villains, the actors, and I got more coming. Also, you can check out my ranking of the DC animated universe down below if you want to hear my take on a bunch of the Batman animated films from the last decade. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies too much.